The overbearingly loved for years. Then the CEO left with an excited look on his face and went to conduct the interview assessment. But at the same time, in an office building of a listed company, there was a girl preparing for today's interview. And this girl was looking at the girl who was within reach. The CEO actually had a barely noticeable mischievous smile on his face, because he wanted to take this opportunity to give the girl a special meeting gift. However, as soon as the girl finished stating her interview speech, the CEO deliberately found fault and negated her in the next second, and publicly announced that the girl was not suitable for the job. The girl looked at the CEO with disbelief in her eyes, but she had no choice but to leave the meeting room sadly. But when she ate on the mobile phone to vent her displeasure. After that, the girl left angrily. But after getting the mobile phone back, the CEO started to play the girl's bold words over and over again. The assistant asked the CEO in confusion, "Such an outstanding girl, why wasn't she hired?" However, facing the assistant's doubt, the CEO then told the truth. It turned out that the reason why the CEO was so cruel as to eliminate the girl was that the girl had suffered from a strange illness since childhood. And this strange illness was a typical allergy to tears. If the girl accidentally shed tears, then the CEO eliminated the girl. Because the CEO knew very well that the competition in their industry was fierce. If a person with poor stress resistance entered the company, she would face huge challenges. And in order to make up for his debt to the girl, the CEO then immediately instructed the assistant to help the girl find a job suitable for her. If there was a company willing to hire the girl according to the treatment he proposed, then he would provide this company with a free investment consultant for 1 year. However, hearing this, the assistant immediately widened his eyes, because this was the first time that the CEO had agreed to be an investment consultant. The overbearing CEO was trying to get rid of a strange woman who was pestering him at the reception. Surprisingly, in front of numerous media, he announced that his girlfriend was also present at the scene. With the doubts of many reporters ringing out, Yuan Shui said to everyone, "This is my girlfriend." Zhang Jun immediately looked at Yuan Shui with an incredulous expression. She could never have imagined that Jun feel extremely embarrassed. Feeling ashamed and angry, she had no choice but to cover her face with her handbag and flee the scene. While Yuan Shui, with a smug look on his face, was left standing there. However, Zhang Jun quickly ran to a deserted place. Zhang Jun asked him how he knew she was here. Yuan Shui laughed at her, saying that ever since she was a child, whenever she encountered grievances, she liked to run to high places. After so many years, she was still so easy to guess. However, Jun's abilities were not enough, so she was eliminated by him, which was a normal part of the interview process. But it was precisely this sentence that completely enraged Zhang Jun. She directly kicked Yuan Shui, and at the same time, she kept scolding Yuan Shui loudly, saying that he had been bullying a weak girl like her since they were young. However, facing Zhang Jun's resentful eyes, Yuan Shui then told the real reason why he had eliminated Zhang Jun. But when Zhang Jun learned that Yuan Shui had eliminated her for her own good, this instantly made Zhang Jun show a wry smile, because she simply didn't believe that Yuan Shui would think about her. The reason why Zhang Jun didn't trust Yuan Shui's words and deeds at all was entirely because of an incident at a school speech contest in the past. Careless Zhang Jun accidentally lost her speech manuscript. As a result, the already shy her completely forgot what she was going to say in the speech. Later, she was even questioned and scolded by the classmates who didn't know the truth. But it was precisely the merciless questioning and scolding from her classmates that made Zhang Jun's tears well up in her eyes. In the end, with her severe tear allergy, she directly on Shui, who then he rushed onto the stage in a flash. Always strong-willed Zhang Jun transferred to another school directly. So this was the reason why Zhang Jun had always hated Yuan Shui. However, hearing this, Yuan Shui originally wanted to explain the truth of that year to Zhang Jun. But unfortunately, Zhang Jun didn't give him any chance at this time. Instead, she said that she must fulfill her own dream. Hearing that, Zhang Jun's body. In order to prevent the girl he had a crush on from doing something stupid, the overbearing CEO actually disregarded the girl's resistance and forcibly tried to reach out in time and thus avoided it as who were lurking around. Timely treatment of the professional doctors, Zhang Jun narrowly escaped death again. At this time, Yuan Shui looked at Zhang Jun lying on the hospital bed. He didn't expect that the two of them, who hadn't seen each other, was discharged. However, the cunning Yuan Shui also took this opportunity to use Zhang Jun's mobile phone to add himself as a friend and sent himself a text message in Zhang Jun's tone. The general content of this text message was something like, "Mr. Yuan, I'm sorry that I shouldn't have deleted you before. Now I know I was wrong. I hope Mr. Yuan will let me off the hook." After Yuan Shui finished all these sneaky deeds, he left the ward with a sly smile on his face. It wasn't until Zhang Jun's best friend found the corresponding ward number that Yuan Shui finally breathed a sigh of relief. However, early the next morning, the unconscious Zhang Jun suddenly woke up from a nightmare. As soon as it turned out that Suli was very curious about who had called her last night. Only then did Zhang Jun recall everything that had happened last night. But when she thought of the close contact with Yuan Shui, it instantly gave her goosebumps. Fortunately, with eyes, she couldn't believe that the reason for Zhang Jun's coma was actually the hairpin drop last night. Soon, what had happened last night spread throughout Yuan Shui's company. Strangely enough, when Yuan Shui saw this news, instead of getting angry at it, so Su Chang took the opportunity to pick up Zhang Jun's job interview resume and looked at it. Then he said to Yuan Shui, "If you really like her, just hire her back. After all, our company doesn't lack such a position." But it was precisely this sentence that reminded Yuan Shui, who didn't know how to pursue a girl. However, at this time, in order not to let Su Chang notice his little thoughts, Yuan Shui immediately found an excuse to send Su Chang away. Early the next morning was hospitalized to find Zhang Jun's landlord and ask the landlord to force Zhang Jun to move out of her residence. Only in this way could he make Zhang Jun fall into his trap step by step. As soon as Yuan Shui arrived at the neighborhood where Zhang Jun lived, his handsome appearance immediately attracted the attention of an ant. When Zhang Jun's landlord learned the reason for Yuan Shui's visit and was still hesitating, fearing that the landlord would refuse to rent the house to him, before the landlord could say the words of refusal, Yuan Shui made an agreement. The landlord immediately went to prepare the contract, leaving Yuan Shui standing there helplessly. However, Yuan Shui also took this opportunity to ask someone to redecorate the spare house he had according to the style that Zhang Jun liked. After the decoration was completed, he would put it on the internet for rent. The rent was at least $3,000 cheaper per month than the houses in the surrounding area. But the prerequisite was that this house could only be rented to the designated tenant. As soon as for rent, now Yuan Shui was actually going to rent it out at the lowest price to the tenant. How could this not make the friend who was an agent show a look of astonishment? But how could this friend know Yuan Shui's real intention? After Yuan Shui arranged everything, he left the neighborhood where Zhang Jun lived contentedly. But as soon as he returned to the downstairs of his company, he was stopped on the spot by a familiar voice. The person who came was none other than Zhang Jun, who had just been discharged from the hospital. It turned out that Zhang Jun came here this time to return the coat that Yuan Shui had left in the hospital. But at this time, Yuan Shui wanted to play a trick on Zhang Jun, but was immediately seen through by Zhang Jun. It turned out that the purpose of Zhang Jun's coming to find Yuan Shui this time was not just to return Yuan Shui's coat, but to come to confront Yuan Shui, who had eliminated her. Because only Zhang Jun had answered this piece of news correctly among all the candidates that day, yet she was the only newcomer eliminated by Yuan Shui on that day.